Hey, welcome to This Week with Bob and Chris. And I don't know, it's the end of October. Actually, it started November. How am I saying the end of October? I don't
we're a
know what
couple
day
of
it is.
we're a couple days into November here.
Yeah, I don't know what day it is. It's been crazy at home. And
Oh yeah,
so, hey, Chris, I've had a few people reach out and say, I'm just going to go get one of these consumer grade VPN products for the small business and really think that they're protected. And there's so many missing pieces there that I figured we should probably unpack some of those today.
yeah. Let's talk about the good of it. You're hiding your IP address, so if you're worried about cookies and stuff based off your IP uh, that you're coming from, so how you say when you say things like I don't know, you have like an Alexa or Google or something like that. You say something, and you start seeing ads. At least
Yep.
you're running through VPN. Usually, it's a different IP address, so you're not going to see that on the device because they usually from the cookie perspective, but they're not
Yeah.
great. I mean, they protect like where you're coming from. I guess they just hide it.
Right. They hide it, but they're not really providing any additional protection that a true VPN solution would provide.
No,
And
and well, I think too. A lot of people maybe they have this old belief before most of the web went to TLS or HTTPS. Let's just call it HTTPS websites, where if you're at a coffee shop and you were just browsing a normal HTTP website, it was unencrypted and they could see the traffic. But
right.
now, like most websites are encrypted, so that's not it's not really helping you from that perspective.
True. Yeah, people don't realize that that everything is encrypted. Even most email now
Yeah.
is encrypted at the low level, unless they're running on some old web servers, old cPanel boxes that are still running their POP and IMAP email. We've run across a couple
Yeah.
of those just recently, and
For $20, you can have 1,000 email addresses. It's because there's zero security to that. It's true. Um,
and, and we have one client that was sending out email that wasn't TLS encrypted, and their clients stopped getting their emails. So people are locking down and saying, okay,
yep.
I'm only going to start accepting secure stuff, and sitting on old stuff, it doesn't work. But going back to the VPN solution,
Yep.
you know, a lot of these consumer products, yeah, they're hiding your IP address and blending you with other stuff. You might be sitting in New Jersey, and then all of a sudden you start up your VPN, and now you're in Nevada, and you go to order a pizza, and you end up with the local pizza place, the Nevada pizza place instead of yours.
Well, let's not hide the fact that we know why some people use VPN for getting to content that they're not supposed to get to from wherever location they're in. That's the other. That's the dirty secret that a lot of people use.
True.
They broadcast that too on those consumer ones. So there's a chance in the future you could get accounts banned too from that. So anything you're using, like if you're going through a VPN that's known to be allowing malicious stuff to happen over it, you could get banned. Uh, Second thing is all these ones that say they don't keep logs when they get breached or hacked. It's funny how they have logs,
Yeah.
or they get served with like paperwork or something from like a legal entity from a government. They suddenly have logs. It's kind of weird how they say they don't log things, but they have logs.
Well, that's like one of the phone providers I work with. They don't necessarily have call recording,
Yep.
but there is a whole one day's worth of call recording sitting in there for troubleshooting purposes. So you can go in and look at the call quality. And oh, by the way, if you hit the other button, you actually can download the whole call. So
Well,
you know,
that's a legal issue in certain states too. So that's another thing. I think what we're trying to get at too is another use for VPN would be to get back into your office. Some people want all of their traffic on their devices that they do a VPN to go back through the office. And I think one of the shortcomings that we've seen, and this is something that's just universal, is when you use a VPN back into an office, if you have a cable modem or something like that, like some cheaper broadband connection, it's not built to support that many users because they just don't have the bandwidth for it. And we saw this during 2020, 2021, where we had one customer try to send 30 people home and remote back in, and the connection's terrible. And
yep.
they would have had to upgrade to fiber internet, to get more of the upload, just to make sure it was a usable experience. For like 3 to 4 people, sure, they can do it if they're randomly in there and stuff like that. But you start getting to a point where you have like 30 people, it just doesn't work.
But that also opens up a whole other can of worms that people are getting these have had these consumer grade routers sitting in the office. They might have a VPN,
Yep.
some VPN settings in them, but nothing's configured to properly protect that network because those VPN users are bypassing everything.
Well,
All
not just that. There's been so many VPN vulnerabilities out there that people have got ransomware from it. Pulse Secure had a problem. Fortinet keeps having problems. SonicWall keeps having problems. Like all these firewalls that you're going to see at small and medium enterprises, even large enterprises, they keep having vulnerabilities.
Right, and that's why that just brings up the point of everything needs to be current and on contract. We're working with somebody else who's got a 1991 application running their business. Yeah, and I talked to him this week, and he was like, yeah, this runs our business. We don't have any clients using it, but it's here. And I was like, no, that's a problem. And then I had to explain why having ancient software sitting on his machines is an issue. And so now we're going to work at getting them into a modern solution. But
Yeah.
but the fact, I was just shocked that it was like, oh yeah, it's from '91, and we can't run the current software. It doesn't work. So anyway, back to the VPN solution. We really want to see secure VPN solutions, and the new SGN stuff that we've been working on together is pretty incredible. That people can work anywhere, anytime, and always be protected. And part of that, and get back to the office for resources, but not have to tunnel everything through the office, so we don't have to worry about that office internet.
Yeah. Well, also, it will connect you to something that's local to wherever you're at as well, and we can put limitations on that. So, for instance, if you're in the United States, there's sites all over the United States you can connect to make sure you have the fastest connection, which is great. If you're outside the United States, we can actually still limit it to just the United States, so at least you can come back in and be able to access certain things. Like, for instance, if we put a limitation on, let's say, your Microsoft 365, we say, hey, you got to be in the United States to access it, and you travel outside the States, well, that's a problem, right? Because now you're not going to be able to get to your email and stuff like that. But if we use something, a more modern solution is what we're talking about, you can get around those restrictions. And we're not doing it from a legal standpoint. We're not saying go to Netflix and stream. We're saying this is for business use and making sure that you're protecting your business as much as possible. Some of the cool things too is we can do web filtering on it.
Yeah.
So you can stop your employees from going to sites that they probably shouldn't go to.
Well, web filtering, but there's also threat monitoring that we can do now, because we can see all the traffic, and the security team can sit there and get alerts and triage alerts before you see it turn into a big problem. And the other thing we can do is we can shut the machine off. We can isolate those machines. If the guy sees something that's really bad, we're just going to take that machine off the internet. We'll still get access to help you fix and diagnose the problem, but we're gonna isolate it.
Yeah, and to Bob's point, what he's talking about is something called IOC, or indicators of compromise. If we see traffic that's coming from a device that's going out to a known, like something like a command and control server that hackers use to gain access, that's where that isolation comes in. We can that device can be shut off. The internet traffic can be shut off, and make sure that it can't get to that anymore to stop that kind of attack. Now, there's more tools that tie into that, but like that's the stuff that you get from a modern solution. You get more than just the VPN aspect of it, the connection perspective.
And you're not going to see any of that off these consumer VPN products.
Yeah.
Or even a VPN back to your office. You're not going to get that type of visibility.
Well, and it's a lot of the tools that we've seen have got really a lot better at handling like Zoom meetings and stuff like that, and Teams and stuff. Because early on, when you're putting everything through that, sometimes your connection was a little flaky and it would like disconnect and stuff like that. But every product that we've seen keeps getting better from the standpoint of a lot, like knowing when it's a streaming service like Zoom, or you're streaming video and audio, and make sure that maximizes it as much as possible, optimizes as much as possible.
You know,
Bank sites also aren't scanned; they're just allowed through because you can have some major issues with bank sites trying to use something like this. So
yeah.
a lot of those issues that were there like even 2 years ago aren't there anymore. So it's a pretty seamless process for the end user. The end user just gets on, it auto starts. We can have them authenticate if we want, but it all starts and just runs.
Right. And the other piece there, which I really don't want to go down this rat hole right now, is the whole fact that websites are all encrypted now, so the firewall can't see the traffic unless the PCs have been updated to support that firewall with an SSL certificate. And I don't know how many risk assessments we've done, but very few actually have. Probably less than 10 actually had SSL inspection turned on to allow the firewall to even see the traffic.
Well, and part of that's just because of the cost factor.
Sure.
Because for a firewall to support doing that, so break it down. You have a firewall at the edge. Most people do. You'll have everybody that you're going to talk to is going to sell you a firewall. They should anyway. The problem with firewalls, and they're getting better at this, is when you want to look at traffic that's encrypted, it's a very taxing process. It's incredibly resource dependent. And firewalls, even like a couple years ago, firewalls from 2 years ago, can only handle a handful of streams at once. So a handful of users could do that. Otherwise, it just takes your internet and it just crumbles it.
Yep.
So newer firewalls are getting much better at it. But when you go to a solution that's independent from your firewall, you can turn that on for certain segments of your network, but your PCs will be scanned in the cloud, and all that's done outside of your network. So you don't have to spend $10,000 on a firewall or $20,000 on a firewall, because realistically, that's what it would take to do like a 30 to 50 person company even a few years ago.
And it's not even the number of people. It's really a function. It's a function of the amount of data you want to push through that internet connection. Because people say, "Oh, I went and just upgraded to gigabit." Well, the firewall that's out there only supports 50 meg.
Oh, so when you turn that level of so when you turn that on, some could barely even do that. We're not slamming vendors here. It's just look, the firewalls the processing wasn't catching up with the times.
Yep.
So like Bob said, if you go out and get a 100 meg connection, or a 1 gig connection, some firewalls just couldn't handle that with everything turned on, all the threat stuff turned on. So it's getting better, but what we like to think of is, because the office isn't really inside of 4 walls anymore. The perimeter has been changed. The perimeter is pretty much anywhere for most businesses. You're going to have an aspect of your business that is not inside of those 4 walls. By leveraging something like this, it's a secure access edge, basically. It doesn't matter if you're in the office. It doesn't matter if you're outside the office. It knows where you're at, and it will adjust accordingly.
Cool.
So I think that's the key that we're talking about. There's other things to it that we can talk about later, like you can block access to servers and things by running that. But for all intents and purposes, for internet and for access to applications, it doesn't matter where you're at. You can get access to what you need, and we have protections and detection in place for that.
Cool. Well, that's all I got.
I probably lost everybody with that one.
Yeah, I think we lost everybody. I think, guys, if you are running a VPN solution today, I don't care if it's running through your office, if it's running through one of the other providers, reach out. Let's talk. Let's actually look and assess the business risk that you have there, because the VPN solution you have may not be providing the protections that you really think it is. And we've got a real simple test to find out, and and then we can sit down and have an educated discussion about what's going on. But that's all I got for this week. I know Chris has got to run.
Yeah. If you guys have any questions, just let us know. If you want more clarifications, or if you have some specific questions, we'll address those too.
Reach out to us here, via direct message or in the chat if there's something else you want to hear. Love to get it on the air. Talk to you later.